Since this week's review is rather short, I thought I'd upload a second video. This is a theory that I've been thinking about for a while. It doesn't fit in with the Retro Rant series, and don't expect this to become a series on its own. There's already a game theory channel out there that does a damn fine job of it too. But I haven't seen anyone talk about this one in particular. So I want to talk about the Sonic universe and the world the games take place in, and more specifically, Eggman's plans and how they're not as grandiose as they may seem, but yet are extremely clever and pretty sinister. Now, we all know that Eggman's plans are to take over the world for whatever reason. It's unknown. Maybe he sees it as a goal, maybe he thinks he can run it better, or whatever his reasons. But he always creates elaborate machines of death that are always stopped by a 3-foot-tall blue hedgehog and his friends. But what if I told you that all these giant machines that he uses that are meant to cause destruction aren't his master plan? What if I said that they're not even a plan B, but actually a distraction meant to hide his true plan? Now, you're probably thinking that I'm crazy. Eggman wants world domination. Why wouldn't he amass an army of giant machines and factories and militarized bases? Well, it's all part of the distraction. You see, Eggman's true plan is to collect and control all the rings on the planet. Why would Eggman want all the rings on the planet, you ask? They serve no purpose, is what you're probably thinking. They're just there. Sure, they protect Sonic from dying in one hit, and they help him transform into Super Sonic. If anything, they're just small batteries if they're able to grant Sonic a temporary shield from damage or power up his super form. Eggman would rather go after the Chaos Emeralds instead, since those have infinite power, and well, you're right. Eggman does want the Chaos Emeralds, but not for weapons of mass destruction, but to power his bases and factories, to build robots, or be a means to a goal. He's only used the Master Emerald as a weapon once. He's fed the Chaos Emeralds to Chaos, and even used them to power his Planet Cracker to release Dark Gaia. The Eclipse Cannon in Sonic Adventure 2 is up for debate, as that was Shadow because he wanted to use them to power the Eclipse Cannon and Eggman just went with it. But what does all this have to do with him wanting rings? Ask yourself, what are the rings made of? Well, they're made of gold. And what is gold used for other than jewelry? That's right, money. The economy of the nations is backed by gold. This is known as the gold standard. That dollar in your pocket is actually a promissory note for gold. Well, I should say was, because money is no longer backed by gold, as the gold standard was abandoned during the Great Depression of the 1930s. And the only thing that makes gold valuable is that we make it valuable. But this is a video game we're talking about, so the fact that the real world doesn't use the gold standard anymore is irrelevant. It's quite possible that Sonic's world actually does use it. So we're gonna go with that. So let's look at the game world. Now, in Sonic Adventure 2, you were able to exchange rings for stuff on the black market in the Chow Kindergarten, and again in Sonic Unleashed, where rings were used as a source of currency. Rings seem to be the most abundant resource in Sonic's world. They're everywhere to the point where you could find them like pennies on the ground. In fact, you could say that the world's economy is based on Sonic and him collecting and spending all the rings he collects. He runs so fast, he's able to collect all the rings he needs to buy the food he needs to sate his extremely fast metabolism. He can run at the speed of sound and faster. Do you know how many calories that's going to burn? Because rings are an accepted currency in Sonic's world in addition to paper money, as evidenced in the Japanese dub of Sonic Colors, where Sonic and Cubot haggle using the Japanese yen, and Eggman also mentions yen over the loudspeakers. Therefore, Sonic's world uses the gold standard, where paper notes are backed by gold reserves. Because the world's economy is based on gold, and Sonic running all over the planet collecting rings and then spending those rings keeps the economy going. Why wouldn't Eggman want to control the rings? If he were able to do that, then he would be in control of the world's economy. It's evident that he has stockpiles of rings in Shadow the Hedgehog when you go true neutral and fight him as the last boss. That's why Eggman builds and sends out so many robots. Not to stop Sonic, but to collect rings. Sure, the robots have weapons, but it's only for defensive capabilities, not offensive, as they only attack when Sonic is close. They're programmed to see him as a threat and therefore react defensively, and then attack so they can go back to collecting rings for their creator. Without Sonic to distribute the world's supply of gold and sitting on all of it, Eggman would control the world not through tyranny, but through money. So why does he have all these elaborate plans? Like I said earlier, they're a distraction. Eggman puts on a big show to keep Sonic from collecting rings, so that way his robots can collect them because they only react defensively. Therefore, Sonic will more than likely ignore them and go after the bigger threat of Eggman and his giant death machines. Keeping Sonic from ring collecting by generating a larger-than-life threat also forces Sonic to find the Chaos Emeralds. By Eggman saying that he wants the emeralds forces Sonic to get them himself to protect them and even go super. As gold rings are needed to sustain his super form, that also plays into Eggman's scheme. The rings power Sonic's super form. Once a ring is used, that's it. It's gone. Eggman is also using Sonic as a method for creating a shortage of rings. The longer Sonic maintains his super form, the less rings there are on the planet. Granted, we don't know if rings are a finite source or not, but Eggman's plan of controlling as many rings as he can is all in the background. It's meant to be a plan to unfurl over the course of time. Once Eggman has most of the world's wealth, then he's able to use that wealth to influence things to go his way. He becomes a job creator. He can have factories built and employ humans instead of machines, paying them to build the robots to collect more rings, in addition to being able to hire lobbyists to grease the palms of governments to get laws passed that benefit him. He can buy out smaller companies to generate more income and have more control over the people. And worst of all, Sonic would be powerless to stop Eggman, because he would have won by becoming the most influential person on the planet. Sonic would no longer be able to help sustain the economy because every ring he picks up would go into Eggman's pocket, allowing him to exert more influence. He can even buy out communication companies and have them censor what he doesn't like. Eggman would be able to control the world through the subtle oppression of keeping the world in an economic downturn. And if that's Eggman's true plan, then it's his most sinister plan to date.